Welcome back to Workshop Friend. Today I'm not starting a new project. This is really just a number of smaller jobs that I've got to do around the workshop. It's nice to be able to help other people with small jobs, and this is one such. It's a 4-step pulley for a pillar drill, and it needs a keyway to be cut into it. But it's not quite as simple as it first looks. So I use my shaper for keyways. And usually for slim items like this gear, it's fairly straightforward to hold it in the vise, and I can get access to the bore easily. But for something like this, it's a little more tricky, and you can see why. If I clamp it over its length like that, well, of course it can't be that low because you need to leave room for the keyway, so you need to sit it up a bit. Now if I do that, there are very unsatisfactory clamping forces on the pulley. You see, if I were to tighten that up, I just break that that corner off there. So this is no way to hold the work. And of course the other problem will be that I can't get right up close there with the tool holder. So that's another problem. So this is an opportunity to use my purpose-made tool holder for slotting. If you want to see a video, there's a link up here which shows you how I made this. It comes with 3 interchangeable shafts. So I think this is the medium sized one. So for slotting we need to immobilize the clapper box. We don't want that lifting, and for that purpose I made these 2 little clamps which just hold it closed. So after a little bit of trial and error, this is the setup I've come up with. It looks a bit Heath Robinson, to be honest with you, but I think it will work. I've got a toe clamp here, so this half of the pulley is up against this angle plate and this half is up against this angle plate, and I can slacken them both off and move them now as a unit, and then I can hopefully line that up, get that square. After that I can rotate the pulley and get the final position, and hopefully that will be the setup for machining the keyway. And of course we're going to take it very easy. So I'm squaring the pulley up with the axis of the machine using this piece of stock, and that's of course necessary to ensure that the keyway ends up parallel with the bore. So the keyway is to the correct depth. I'm just widening it up now, taking a bit off each side to keep the keyway in the centre of the bore. Okay, we're close to size now. I've just got these couple of gauge blocks in here at some 5 thou under the thickness of the key. So I've got 5 thou to take off. Okay, that's that job done. I can hand this back and on to the next job for today. Well, the second job for this video is to tidy up my clamping system. So these are the toe clamps I use, and these are the 5 T-nuts which I made, and these are my threaded bar, well, threaded bar here, and these studs which I made up as I needed them, basically made from 3/8 rod. And they are 3/8 UNC and 3/8 UNF, with the UNC going into the T-nuts. Now the issue I have is that I don't really have enough T-nuts, and the size of the slot in my drill is a little bit different. So this is the T-slot on my drill. You can see it's wider, and it works, but while I'm at it, I may as well make a dedicated set of 3 or maybe 4 for the drill, so that they can stay here, and I'll have the other T-nuts available for the other machines which do have the same size slot. So I've got some 3/8 bar, and I'll make, let me see, yeah, I'll make 3 new studs, shorter ones, because they're the ones I use most commonly. They're used for bolting down the 2 vices and also the dividing head. I also cut this up because although that's actually 3/8 Whitworth, it's very close to 3/8 UNC, so I can use that in the same box. So I may as well cut that in half, clean it up and put it with the same set. I'm going to cut the 3 T-nuts for the drill, the dedicated T-nuts for the drill, from this piece of steel which I've got lying around, and what I'll do is I'll just hacksaw out a piece like this, and we'll take it over to the mill and start working on that. I'm not sure if the video gives this impression, but this material is actually quite tough. Not sure what it was. So drilling and tapping here for 3/8 UNC, 16 TPI. It's quickest and easiest to face the T-nuts to length using forge or chuck on my smaller lathe. Turning my attention now to the studs. So this is being made from 3/8 mild steel rod, and this is an ideal application for the collet chuck because I'll be repeatedly removing the work from the chuck, so it's nice to be able to use this again. I brought the thread down to quite close to the final size, but I'm going to finish it with the die, so it's minimal material off here. Everything will be square because it's thread cut, so I don't have to have tailstock support. You can see it's just really just chasing the thread for the last part of the form. I've opened the die out to sort of the maximum size, so if we need to take it down a bit more, we can. Just test one of the T-nuts. Yeah, I don't think I really want to take any more off that. We'll just we'll go with that. If I want to chase these later, I can. I think that's probably the right size. Just lining up for parting off. Keeping the momentum going, I'm going straight into the second short stud. Hopefully get this done as quickly as possible. I'm using my recently made bed stop. I'm basically threading up to this and using the, not as a hard stop, but just a guide really, and just knocking it off just before I touch it. I'm not tightening it up too much, so it's not going to crash into it. If it does crash into it, it will actually move the stop along a bit. So it's just there as a guide. Now I've set things up so that I know how much to advance the top slide by. For this thread, it's 16 TPI, so I need to advance the top slide by 63 thou, which is about 1.6 millimeters. I'm actually going to 1.5 millimeters and then finish it off with the die. Just double check that. Yep, 0, 0. I think we'll slow down a bit. That's about right. Okay, we'll start with a 10th hour cut. And finally the last longer stud with the remaining material. Okay, quick change of the gear ratio for 24 TPI. We just cut 16, so now it's 24. Just resetting the tool square. I mean, this isn't critical because I'm going to chase the thread, but try and get it as near as I can. Should just be enough space there to stop before I come up too close to the collet chuck. I think on this one I'm going to cut a groove and use the groove to machine into. So on this longer stud, I deliberately included a much longer length of the finer 3/8 UNF thread. Well, the 3 T-nuts are now finished, and I've added the 2 studs, the 2 shorter ones. These will normally stay on the drilling machine for clamping down vices, and I've got this extra long one as well. I've got the threaded rod here, which I just cleaned up. I've decided not to cut it because who knows what length I'll need. So I'm going to leave that in stock with the rest of the clamping equipment, and that would just make things a little bit easier when the next clamping job comes along that doesn't require the regular size studs. Shall I show you how these fit on the drill? So off camera I removed some material from the bottom of the nuts before. They were just a little too tight swarf would tend to jam underneath, I know from experience, so having that looser fit just makes setup easier. So I've got 3 dedicated T-nuts now for the drill. Normally I'll use these shorter ones for clamping down thin work or the vices, but I've got this extra one here for other work and also a longer stud. Well, thanks once again for joining me. I do hope you'll join me for the next video to come out in 2 weeks' time.